Hola clase, en este video de hoy vamos a aprender sobre los adverbios en español. All right, so the first question that I want to answer is, what do adverbs do? ¿Qué hacen los adverbios? And the simple answer to that is that adverbs describe actions, adjectives, or other adverbs. So I have a couple different examples here to show you what it looks like when adverbs are used in sentences. So in the first example, you'll see that our adverb lentamente is being used to describe an action. Jonathan trabaja lentamente. So Jonathan works slowly. How does he work? He works slowly. In the next example, you can see that our adverb bastante is describing an adjective. Melissa es bastante responsable. So how responsible is Melissa? She's very responsible. And in the last example, you can see that our adverb muy is being used to describe another adverb. Zeke hace todo muy rápidamente. So Zeke does everything very quickly. How quickly does he do things? He does things muy, so very quickly, muy rápidamente. The next thing that I want to do is teach you how to turn adjectives into adverbs. So it's really easy to do in English and in Spanish. In English, there's actually only one step to turning adjectives into adverbs. So we can take an adjective like slow and we can change it into an adverb by just adding ly onto the end. So it becomes slowly, or you take the adjective quick, you can change it into an adverb by adding ly onto the end. So I can say he is slow or he walked slowly. She is quick, or she ran quickly. All right. And so we can do the same thing in Spanish. It's only two steps in Spanish. The first step is that we put the adjective in the feminine singular form. And the second step is that we add mente to the end. So let me show you an example here, and we're going to use the adjective rápido. All right. So you can see here the first step, we take rápido and we put it in the feminine singular form. All that means is that we change that O to an A, all right? So just change the O to an A and you'll be in the feminine singular form. The second step is just add mente, all right? So you can see I added mente onto the end here. So rápidamente. So we just changed rápido, which is fast. So like él es rápido. We changed it to rápidamente, which is quickly in Spanish, right? So we could use that like ella corre rápidamente. She runs quickly. All right, so let's just do a quick practice doing those two steps on these adjectives and change these adjectives into adverbs. So that first one, típico, we're just gonna change the O to an A. So we're gonna end up with típica, and then we're gonna add the mente. So that's our second step, add mente, and we get típicamente, which is typically in Spanish. Rápido, we're gonna change that O on the end to an A. And then we add mente, so we get rápidamente, which is quickly. Lento is slow, but we're going to change that to an adverb, change the O to an A, and add mente, so lentamente, which is slowly. Ansioso, so anxious. We change the O to an A, ansiosamente, anxiously. Serio, seriamente. All right. So as an adjective, I could say él es serio. He is serious. But then as an adverb, I could say él habla seriamente. He speaks seriously. About this one, cómicamente. So comically. Maybe he does something in a funny way. And then the last one there, enojado, but actually enojada, and then mente. Of course, there are some rule breakers, and so some adjectives are not going to follow those two steps that we just learned about. If you have an adjective that ends in an E or in a consonant, then you're just going to add mente, all right? So you're not going to do that step where you change the O to an A because there's not an O to change to the A. So you'll just add mente. For example, fácil. Fácil means easy and it ends in an L. So you're just going to add mente to the end, which becomes fácilmente, easily. Inteligente, intelligent, it ends in an E. So you're just going to add mente to the end, which becomes inteligentemente, which would be the adverb intelligently. One other thing that's important to know is where your adverbs go in the sentence. So where do you place the adverb? And generally speaking, adverbs that end in mente usually follow the verb that they describe. So they usually come after the verb that they're describing. So I've got some examples here. Ella grita enojadamente. You can see that the adverb enojadamente comes after the verb grita. She screams angrily. Ellos corren rápidamente. They run quickly. Again, the adverb comes after the verb. Yo leo los documentos fácilmente. So I read the documents easily. That's usually where your adverbs will come. They'll usually follow the verbs that they describe. Here's an interesting thing that I want to point out. Sometimes in a sentence, you will be using multiple adverbs to describe the same verb or adjective or adverb. And if that happens, you're only going to add mente to the end of the last adverb in the series. Okay. So in this example, we have Eduardo hizo su trabajo rápida y fácilmente. So Eduardo did his job quickly and easily. Notice that we have two different adverbs here, and they're both describing how he did his work, okay? And so we only have to add the mente onto the end of the second adverb, okay? That first adverb, rápida, we didn't have to add the mente onto the end of it, okay? We did still change the O to an A, but we didn't add mente, all right? So keep that in mind if you've got multiple adverbs in the same sentence. It's important to point out that not all adverbs in Spanish will end in mente. There are some others that don't end in mente. So here's a few important adverbs in Espanol that you'll probably use occasionally, and they don't end in mente. So demasiado, which means too, like too much. Bastante, which means pretty or fairly, not pretty like the way that somebody looks, but like I could say he runs pretty fast. Very would be another translation. Muy, which means very. These are all adverbs, all right, but they don't end in mente. And these three adverbs, they usually come before the adjectives and adverbs that they modify. They don't come afterwards in most cases. And here's just a few examples using those adverbs that don't end in mente. So, este trabajo es demasiado aburrido. This job is too boring. Ella es bastante inteligente. She is pretty intelligent. And then mi abuela es vieja y camina muy lentamente. So my grandmother is old and she walks very slowly. So you can see that all of these come before the word that they describe. That's all we'll cover today, so we'll see you in class. Adios.